The Dallas Cowboys went on the road and handled their business against the New York Jets, walking away with a convincing 37-22 victory that wasn't nearly as close as the scoreboard made it look. From the opening drive, Dallas looked sharp, composed, and determined to remind everyone why they're still one of the most dangerous teams in football. This win was huge, not just because it came on the road, but because it pushed the Cowboys back to .500, bouncing back strong after that frustrating tie last week against the Green Bay Packers. The energy was different. You could feel it. Dallas came to prove a point. Before we break down the instant reactions and talk injuries, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video, share it with your fellow Cowboys fans, and of course, hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Now, let's dive into the big takeaways and storylines from this one. First off, the injury report, not ideal, but not catastrophic either. Jack Sanborn left the game with a concussion and was ruled out. His status for next week is uncertain, but Shamar James stepped in and held his ground impressively, showing real promise in a tough spot. Then there's Jalen Brooks, who exited with a knee injury that looked concerning at first glance. He appeared to be in visible pain, and will have to wait for more details as tests come in. Late in the game, Donovan Wilson also went down, and while we don't yet know the severity, it's definitely something the Cowboys will be watching closely. But the biggest takeaway? Dak Prescott showed up. Once again, he reminded everyone why he's the leader of this team. It wasn't a flawless game, his completion percentage dipped slightly compared to previous weeks, but his command of the offense, decision-making, and poise under pressure made all the difference. Dak Prescott was locked in from start to finish. He completed 18 of 29 passes for 237 yards, throwing 4 touchdowns with 0 interceptions, a clean, efficient, and confident performance. He also added 28 rushing yards, showing that underrated mobility that keeps defenses honest. This Cowboys offense continues to prove it's one of the most explosive units in the league. And what makes this win even more impressive? They did it without several of their top playmakers. No CeeDee Lamb, no Javonte Turpin, and they were missing 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. That's the kind of adversity that usually sinks a team, but not this one. Dallas didn't just survive, they dominated. Give major credit to Prescott for keeping this offense steady and confident. His leadership was all over this game, the way he controlled the tempo, trusted his reads, and kept the ball moving downfield was everything you want from your QB1. And let's not overlook the defense, they stepped up when it mattered most. Sure, the final numbers might not jump off the page, but when the pressure was on, the Cowboys' defense delivered. James Houston continues to look like a hidden gem, racking up 1.5 sacks and making plays all over the field. Dallas finished with 5 total sacks, matching their season total coming into the game. Dante Fowler Jr., Kenny Clark, Osa Odigizua, and Sam Williams all got in on the action, collapsing the pocket and making life miserable for Justin Fields, who looked much better on paper than he did in real time. This was a statement performance from both sides of the ball, a reminder that even when the Cowboys are short-handed, they're still dangerous, disciplined, and determined to fight for every inch. Let's be honest, the final stats from the New York Jets were pure garbage time fiction. When the fourth quarter began, this game was already over. Dallas led 30-6, and by that point, New York's offense had barely cracked 50 yards total. Everything they did after that was meaningless stat padding once the game had been decided. Sure, the Jets finished with 22 points and 25 first downs, but let's not fool ourselves, all of that came when the Cowboys had already taken their foot off the gas. The real story was what happened when it mattered most. The Cowboys' defense looked sharper, faster, and far more disciplined than in previous weeks. Guys were flying to the ball, forcing turnovers, and making the kind of physical plays that set the tone for the rest of the season. Maurice Lafu punched out a crucial fumble that shifted momentum and showed the kind of defensive awareness Dallas has been missing. Now, yes, Breece Hall did manage to find some success on the ground, finishing with 14 carries for 113 yards. You could see a few cracks in the interior defense and linebacker play, but context matters. The game was 30-3 late in the third quarter. When the outcome is locked in, that kind of yardage doesn't mean much. What matters is that the Cowboys' defense finally looked like itself again, aggressive, confident, and ready to dominate. For the first time in weeks, this unit complemented the offense instead of leaning on it. Bottom line, when Dallas plays like this, with balance, composure, and intensity, they can beat anybody in the league. By the time the fourth quarter rolled around, this one was long decided, everything else was just garbage time. The Cowboys had done their job early, and nothing the Jets did late could change that story. But even with the game in hand, there were still a few standout performances worth talking about. One of the biggest surprises? Ryan Finoy. He was sensational, 6 catches for 114 yards, plus a couple of carries that added another dimension to the offense. He stepped up when no one expected it, becoming the spark the Cowboys needed through the air. With CeeDee Lamb sidelined, someone had to rise up, and Finoy did exactly that. His chemistry with Dak Prescott was on point all game long, and his ability to find open space kept drives alive. It turned into the Finoy game, and honestly, it couldn't have come at a better time. Meanwhile, Jalen Tolbert wasn't a big factor this week, but that's the beauty of this offense, different heroes emerge every Sunday. The depth at wide receiver is real, and performances like Finoy's prove this team isn't dependent on just one or two guys. Another huge storyline, Javonte Williams and the Cowboys' offensive line. Despite missing 4 starters, this unit came out swinging. They controlled the trenches, opened running lanes, and gave Prescott just enough time to work his magic. That kind of grit defines a championship team. This was a complete performance, guts, depth, and next man up mentality on full display. Dallas didn't just win, they made a statement about who they are when adversity hits. Javonte Williams was an absolute force in this game. His 66-yard burst was the highlight of the night, pure power, balance, and determination. He finished with 16 carries for 135 yards and a touchdown, plus a 4-yard receiving score that showed his versatility. Every time he touched the ball, it felt like something big could happen. The best part? Most of those yards came after contact. Williams refused to go down, dragging defenders and setting the tone for Dallas's physical identity. If you had him in your fantasy lineup, congratulations. That was a no-brainer performance. And let's give serious credit to the offensive line. Down 4 starters, yet they stood tall. There were a few pressures here and there, Dak took 1 minor sack, but overall, this line battled hard and gave their quarterback exactly what he needed. Lesser teams collapse in that situation. The Cowboys didn't. They dominated. That's what great teams do. They take care of business against weaker opponents. The Jets may not be a top-tier team right now, but Dallas did what contenders are supposed to do, control the game from start to finish. The third quarter alone was a statement, a 13-play, 90-yard drive for a touchdown. A quick 3-and-out stop on defense. Then a 7-play, 91-yard drive, followed by a 2-play, 67-yard strike. That's domination, efficient, explosive, and relentless. Even more impressive? This wasn't even Dak Prescott's best game, and the Cowboys still cruised to victory. That's how you know this team is evolving. They're no longer relying on perfection from Dak, they're winning because everyone is doing their job. So here's the question for you, Cowboys Nation, who gets your game ball? Was it Javonte Williams for his breakout performance? Dak Prescott for his command and leadership? Or maybe the offensive line, for holding it together when no one thought they could? Let me know what you think, because this one, from start to finish, felt like a true team win. Alright, Cowboys fans, it's time to talk keys to victory and see how this team delivered. Keep the offense rolling. Check. The Cowboys once again exploded for 37 points and over 400 total yards of offense. That's becoming the new normal in Dallas: efficiency, rhythm, and confidence from start to finish. Limit the run game. This one was hit and miss. Breece Hall had success on the ground with 14 carries for 113 yards, showing why he's one of the league's most dynamic backs. Justin Fields added a few scrambles here and there, but overall, the Cowboys controlled the pace of the game. When you're up big early, you can afford to give up a few chunk runs. The outcome was never in doubt. Dak stays sharp. Even on what felt like a B-level performance, Dak Prescott still threw for 237 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's what elite quarterbacks do: they find ways to win even when everything isn't perfect. Dak managed the game beautifully, kept mistakes to zero, and made the big throws when it counted. Improve on third down defense. Mission accomplished. The Jets went 7 of 16 on third down and 8 of 19 including fourth, which is a massive improvement from previous weeks. Dallas got off the field when it mattered most. That's how you close out games. Play like the better team. And they did exactly that. From the first snap, Dallas dictated the tone. They ran the ball efficiently, passed with precision, and played disciplined, complementary football across all three phases: offense, defense, and special teams. Sure, the Jets aren't world beaters, but this is what great teams do: they crush the opponents they're supposed to beat. And the Cowboys did it in dominant fashion. This was a complete, balanced win, the kind that builds confidence heading into tougher matchups. So once again, let's hear it in the comments: who gets your game ball after this performance? Dak? Javonte Williams? The offensive line? Or maybe that rejuvenated defense? Because today, Cowboys Nation, your team showed exactly why they still belong in the NFC conversation.